The phone screen glowed in the dark room, the only light cutting through the silence. A laughing emoji blinked at the bottom of a post. Then another. And another. The caption read, "When you finally realize your maid's outfit costs more than her salary." Olivia stopped scrolling. Her breath caught. The photo showed her, standing outside the mall in her plain work uniform, holding a shopping bag. She wasn't posing. She wasn't smiling. She had just walked out after buying groceries. The photo had been taken secretly, from a distance. The one who posted it was Lena, her employer's daughter. Within hours, hundreds of comments filled the post. Rich people doing charity by hiring people like this. Looks like she borrowed the bag just for the photo. Who let her in that store? The laughter under each comment echoed in Olivia's chest like a slow burn. She didn't cry. She didn't reply. She just stared at the screen until the words blurred. Then she placed the phone face down on the table and sat in silence. The house around her was quiet. It always was. For 5 years, Olivia had worked for the Harris family, cooking, cleaning, ironing, taking care of their groceries, managing small errands. She lived in a small room near the kitchen, just big enough for a bed, a chair, and a fan that clicked every few minutes. Lena was 23, loud, and always online. Her days were filled with selfies, vlogs, and captions about humility and kindness. Her followers adored her, calling her the sweetest soul. Olivia knew the truth. She saw the other side, the one that never made it to the camera. She remembered the day she first started working for the family. Lena was still in college then, polite but distracted. Over the years, she changed. Her tone sharpened, her words heavier with entitlement. Olivia never complained. She believed silence kept peace. But tonight, silence felt like surrender. The next morning, Olivia walked into the kitchen at 6:30 as usual. The smell of coffee filled the air. Mrs. Harris sat by the counter reading emails. "Morning," Olivia said softly. Mrs. Harris didn't look up. "Morning?" Olivia placed the grocery list on the counter. "We're out of olive oil and detergent." "Fine. Add them to the order." Olivia nodded, her eyes down. She felt the phone buzzing in her pocket. Another notification from Lena's post. She ignored it. Lena walked in, phone in hand, wearing sunglasses though the house was dim. She didn't greet anyone. She poured coffee, sat down and scrolled. Olivia glanced once, then looked away. "Hey," Lena said suddenly, without looking up. "Did you see my post yesterday?" Olivia froze. "I didn't mean it personally," Lena continued casually. "It was just a joke. My followers loved it." Olivia stayed silent. Lena smirked. "Relax, you got some free fame out of it." "People think you're cute." Mrs. Harris frowned slightly. "What post?" Lena laughed. "Just something funny I posted yesterday." "Don't worry, Mom." Olivia turned back to the sink, gripping the dishcloth until her knuckles whitened. Mrs. Harris didn't ask further. She never did. That evening, Olivia sat on her bed staring at a small box under her pillow. Inside were old documents, papers she hadn't touched in years. A faded ID card, an old diploma, a certificate of recognition. She picked up the diploma. Bachelor of Business Administration, graduated with distinction. She ran her fingers over the seal. The paper had yellowed slightly, but the signature still glimmered faintly under the light. She had once been someone else. A student who dreamed of opening her own bakery. A young woman who worked hard, who smiled easily, who believed effort would always be rewarded. But after her husband died in an accident, everything collapsed. Bills piled up. Her mother fell sick. There was no time for dreams. Work became survival. She took the first stable job she could find, housekeeping. It wasn't what she studied for, but it paid for her mother's medication and her daughter's school fees. That was enough, until yesterday. Yesterday, her dignity became content. She picked up her phone and opened the post again. Over 5,000 likes. 100 shares. A sea of laughing emojis, but among them one comment stood out. Why would someone that classy hire someone like her? That sentence, more than anything, broke something inside her. She stared at it for a long time, then slowly opened her laptop. It was time. The next day, Olivia finished her chores early. She packed her small bag and told Mrs. Harris she needed to run an errand. Mrs. Harris nodded absently, not looking up from her screen. Olivia took a bus to the city center and stopped outside a glass building with gold lettering, Harper & Cober's Investments. She walked in confidently. The receptionist smiled politely. "Good afternoon. How may I help you?" "I have an appointment with Mr. Daniel Harper," Olivia said calmly. "Your name, please?" "Olivia Ramirez." The receptionist checked the list, then nodded. "Yes, ma'am. He's expecting you." "Thank you." She walked toward the elevator, her reflection flashing across the mirrored walls. For the first time in years, she saw herself not as a maid, but as the woman she used to be. When she entered Daniel Harper's office, he stood and smiled warmly. "Olivia, it's been too long." "It has," she said, shaking his hand. Daniel had been her late husband's business partner years ago. After the accident, he had helped manage some of the remaining shares and investments in her name. They hadn't spoken in over 2 years. "I need your help," Olivia said, sitting down. Daniel nodded. "Of course. What's going on?" She took a deep breath. "I want to liquidate my remaining shares in Harper & Co., and I want to use that money to buy a property." Daniel blinked. "That's a big decision. Are you sure?" "Yes," she said. Her tone was calm, steady, deliberate. "Completely." Daniel studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "All right. I'll handle it." "It'll take about a week," Olivia nodded. "That's fine. I already know what I want to buy," Daniel smiled slightly. "Let me guess. A bakery?" Olivia smiled faintly. "No, something else." That night, she sat at her desk and drafted an email. Short, simple, precise. To Mr. and Mrs. Harris. Subject: Notice of termination of employment. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Harris, this letter is to formally inform you that I will be resigning from my position as housekeeper effective 2 weeks from today. I have appreciated the opportunity to work with your family. I wish you the best moving forward. Respectfully, Olivia Ramirez. She clicked send, closed her laptop, and leaned back. Her phone buzzed again with another notification from Lena's post. She opened it. Someone had commented, "She should be grateful she even has a job." Olivia smiled faintly, a calm kind of smile. "Gratitude isn't silence," she whispered. Then she locked her phone and went to sleep. The sun rose quiet over the Harris estate, cutting thin rays through the kitchen blinds. Mrs. Harris sat by the breakfast counter with her usual black coffee. Flipping through emails on her tablet, she frowned. There was a message from Olivia in her inbox, time-stamped late last night. She opened it and read the resignation letter. Her eyes paused at the words, effective 2 weeks from today. She muttered. Lena walked in wearing a silk robe, scrolling on her phone. Morning, Mom. Did Olivia make breakfast? Mrs. Harris looked up. She resigned. Lena froze. What? Mrs. Harris turned the tablet around. Check your email. Lena blinked, confused. Wait, what does that mean? Like, she's leaving? Mrs. Harris nodded. Apparently so, but why? She didn't say anything. Mrs. Harris set the tablet down. Maybe she found something better. Everyone moves on eventually, Lena frowned, pacing. She can't just leave. Who's going to handle the chores? The laundry? Mrs. Harris cut her off. We'll manage, or we'll hire someone new. Lena bit her lip, uneasy. The word resign didn't sit right. Olivia had been with them for years. Always punctual, always quiet, always respectful. She wasn't impulsive. Something felt off. She decided to text her, Lena. Hey, heard you're quitting? Is everything okay? Olivia, everything's fine. Thank you for the opportunity. That was it. No explanation. No emotion. Lena sighed and tossed her phone on the counter. So dramatic, she muttered, but a flicker of guilt touched her chest. She pushed it away. The next few days were uneventful. Olivia did her duties without complaint, without expression. She moved quietly through the house, efficient as always, polite but distant. Lena tried once to talk to her again. "You're really not going to tell me why you're leaving?" Olivia smiled faintly. "Some things end quietly, Miss Lena." That was all she said. It unnerved Lena, that calmness. On Friday afternoon, Mrs. Harris came home from a meeting, visibly annoyed. "Have you seen the news?" she said, dropping her purse on the counter. Lena frowned. "What happened?" Mrs. Harris handed her phone over. This. The headline read, "Local businesswoman Olivia Ramirez acquires luxury Harris residence through Harper & Coer's deal." Lena blinked. "What?" She read it again. And again, the article continued. In a private acquisition this week, businesswoman and investor Olivia Ramirez purchased the Harris family estate following a high-value property deal managed by Harper & Coher Investments. Ramirez, who worked previously in household management, is said to have maintained long-term shares in the firm through her late husband's holdings. Lena's mouth went dry. The photo in the article showed Olivia standing outside the gate, not in uniform, not as their employee, but in a crisp white suit, shaking hands with Daniel Harper. Her posture was calm, dignified. Lena scrolled down and froze again. There was a quote. "It's important to remember that respect is not determined by what you wear or where you work. It's determined by how you treat people when you think no one's watching." Olivia Ramirez. The silence in the room was heavy. Mrs. Harris exhaled slowly. "She bought the house." Lena stared blankly. "That's impossible." Mrs. Harris looked at her daughter. "Apparently not." Within hours, the story spread online. From maid to millionaire. The real story behind Olivia Ramirez. Woman buys mansion from former employers. Who mocked her online? Dignity always wins. The comments were relentless. People had found Lena's old post, the one mocking Olivia. Screenshots of it were everywhere. Now who's laughing? Karma came early this year. She's your landlord now. Lena's notifications exploded. Her followers turned. The same people who once adored her now filled her feed with anger. Disgusting. You called her your maid? Shame on you. This is what privilege looks like. Her follower count dropped by thousands. Brands began pulling collaborations. Her inbox filled with emails marked partnership termination. By evening, the post was deleted, but it was too late. The screenshots lived on. Mrs. Harris sat in the living room, head in her hands. "I can't believe this." Lena sat beside her, pale. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." Mrs. Harris looked up sharply. "You took her photo without permission. You mocked her online. What did you expect?" Lena's eyes filled. "It was just a joke." Mrs. Harris's tone hardened. It wasn't to her. They sat in silence, the air thick with regret. At 6 p.m., the doorbell rang. Mrs. Harris opened the door and froze. Olivia stood there. She wasn't in her uniform. She wore a gray suit, minimal makeup, calm expression. In her hand was a sealed folder. "Good evening," she said. Mrs. Harris stepped aside. "Olivia, I didn't expect— I came to finalize the transfer papers," Olivia said politely. "The sale is complete. I'll be moving in next week." Mrs. Harris hesitated. "So soon?" Olivia nodded. The process was simple. Daniel handled the logistics. Lena stood a few steps behind her mother, silent, eyes wide. Olivia looked at her once, then placed the folder on the table. "The legal team will send over the confirmation tomorrow. You'll have 30 days to vacate," Mrs. Harris swallowed. "Of course." There was a long pause. Then Lena spoke, her voice barely steady. "Why are you doing this?" Olivia turned to her slowly. "Doing what?" "Buying this house. Making us leave." "Is this revenge?" Olivia's tone stayed calm. "No, it's closure." Lena frowned. "I don't understand." Olivia looked her in the eye. "For years I cleaned this place, cooked your meals, ironed your clothes. You saw me every day but never once looked at me. You posted me online like a joke. You called me less than you, but you never knew who I was. Her voice was steady, quiet, but it carried weight. Now you know. Lena looked down, ashamed. Olivia continued. I didn't buy this house to prove anything. I bought it because I could. Because I earned it. The difference is, I never needed to embarrass someone to feel valuable. Mrs. Harris's voice softened. Olivia, I'm sorry. Olivia nodded once. I accept that. She turned to leave but stopped at the door. For what it's worth, I don't hate you. I just wanted you both to remember, respect is free. It's just expensive to lose. Then she left. That night, Lena sat alone in her room. Her phone was silent now, her social media emptied. She opened her messages, typed a long apology, then deleted it. She scrolled through Olivia's new interview again. Olivia wasn't flaunting anything. She wasn't mocking anyone. She was smiling humbly, talking about second chances. About dignity, Lena whispered to herself. She won without shouting, and for the first time in a long time, she understood the difference between being admired and being respected. The following week, the Harris home was half empty. Movers came and went, carrying boxes labeled with years of comfort and pride. The walls that once echoed laughter now stood quiet, stripped of the pictures that once told their story. Mrs. Harris moved with quiet dignity, refusing to complain. Lena, on the other hand, drifted through the house like a ghost, silent and withdrawn. Her phone barely lit up anymore. The silence was punishment enough. Each box packed felt like a confession. Every item reminded them of how fragile comfort could be when built on disrespect. The final day arrived sooner than expected. A silver sedan pulled into the driveway right on time. Olivia stepped out, dressed in a cream suit and low heels. She didn't bring a lawyer or assistant, only a small folder under her arm. The air was heavy with tension. Mrs. Harris opened the door before she could knock. Olivia gave a polite nod. Mrs. Harris, may I come in? Of course. They stepped into the now half-empty living room. The furniture was gone, leaving echoes where the family once gathered. The house looked bigger, colder. Olivia glanced around. Strange, isn't it? When a home loses its people, it just becomes walls and air. Mrs. Harris nodded, her voice low. I never realized how quickly it can all fade. They sat. The silence between them wasn't hostile. It was heavy, mature, and honest. Lena came downstairs slowly, holding a photo frame. It was from years ago, her birthday. Balloons in the background, Olivia standing behind the cake. Smiling faintly, she froze when she saw Olivia. Hi, she said softly. Hello. Lena, Olivia replied. Lena hesitated, then held out the photo. I found this in the box. You can keep it if you want. Olivia looked at it. You should keep it. It's your memory. Lena bit her lip. It doesn't feel like one I deserve. Olivia's tone stayed calm. Then make better ones. They sat in silence for a while. The sound of packing tape and footsteps filled the house. Finally, Lena spoke again. I didn't know about your husband. Or your shares. Or anything, I didn't think, Olivia nodded. Most people don't, that's the problem. Lena's eyes filled. I'm sorry. I ruined your dignity in public. And you still didn't ruin me back. Why? Olivia exhaled slowly. Because I wasn't raised to return smallness with smallness. When people show cruelty, it's usually because they feel small inside. You needed attention. I needed peace. She leaned forward slightly. And peace doesn't come from revenge. It comes from letting truth speak for itself. Lena's tears fell quietly. Everyone online hates me. I lost all my sponsors. My friends stopped talking to me. Olivia looked at her gently. Then maybe it's time to find out who you are without the noise. Lena met her eyes. How do you do that? By being useful, Olivia said simply. Not impressive. Not adored. Useful. Lena nodded slowly, her throat tight. Mrs. Harris returned from the kitchen with coffee. She handed Olivia a cup. It feels strange serving you, she said quietly. Olivia smiled faintly. Respect isn't about who serves. It's about how it's done. Mrs. Harris looked down. I should have treated you better. You were here when my husband died, when Lena graduated, when I was too tired to face mornings. You were family, even if I didn't admit it. Olivia's eyes softened. Thank you. That means more than you think. They drank in silence. After a while, Olivia stood. Let's walk through the property. I want to discuss something. They followed her outside. The sun was setting, turning the sky gold. The garden, once trimmed and perfect, now looked wild. Olivia paused by the front steps, looking at the house. This place meant something to me, she said quietly. It was where I rebuilt myself after I lost everything. My husband, my savings, my confidence. This house wasn't just a job. It was a classroom. It taught me about people, Mrs. Harris frowned. And what did it teach you? That people show their truth when they think someone can't answer back? Mrs. Harris lowered her gaze. Olivia continued. You see, the thing about power is, it changes how you look at others. When you think you have it, you stop listening. When you lose it, you finally start hearing. Lena wiped her tears. Olivia turned to her. I want to offer you something. Lena looked up, startled. What? A job, Olivia said. My company is launching a social campaign. It's about digital responsibility, empathy, and awareness. You could be part of it. Lena stared at her, shocked. You want to hire me? Olivia nodded. You made a mistake. The world punished you, but I don't believe in canceling people. I believe in giving them a chance to grow. You can use your story to teach others. Lena was speechless. After everything I did? Yes, Olivia said. Because you can't learn humility and comfort. You learn it when life humbles you. And it has. Lena broke down completely. She covered her face, crying softly. I don't deserve this. Olivia waited for her to calm down, then said gently, Then earn it. That night, after Olivia left, Mrs. Harris sat on the porch watching the movers close the truck. The stars began to appear, faint but steady. Lena sat beside her, quiet. Mrs. Harris spoke first. You know, I used to think respect was something you demanded. Now I see it's something you earn by how you treat the ones with less. Lena nodded, eyes distant. She could have destroyed us. She didn't, Mrs. Harris said. Because she's stronger than we ever were. A week later, Lena walked into Olivia's new office, not as a former employer's daughter, but as a trainee. She wore a plain shirt, no makeup, no filters. Her first task was to draft a campaign script titled The Cost of Cruelty. She stared at the blank page for a long time before typing, When you mock someone online, you're not showing the world their weakness. You're revealing your own. She stopped and smiled faintly. At the end of her first week, Olivia passed by her desk. How are you settling in? Lena nodded. I'm learning a lot. Olivia smiled. That's what matters. Before walking away, she added, I'll be visiting the old house tomorrow. If you want to come, it's good closure. Lena agreed. The next day, they stood outside the Harris home. It was quiet now, sold and repainted. Olivia looked peaceful. Lena whispered, It looks smaller. Olivia nodded. That's what happens when you stop measuring things by ego. They stood in silence, the evening breeze soft against their faces. Then Olivia said, Let's go. We have work to do. And for the first time, Lena didn't look back. 3 months passed. The air had changed. The noise had faded. The Harris family name no longer appeared in gossip columns or influencer feeds. Silence replaced spectacle. Lena spent her mornings at Olivia's company office, tucked in a corner desk near the marketing department. She no longer posed for photos or checked her follower count. She arrived on time, stayed late, and listened more than she spoke. Her title was simple. Project assistant, no fancy perks. No influencer privileges. Just work. And for the first time in years, Lena felt something new, usefulness. The campaign Olivia had mentioned, The Cost of Cruelty, was coming to life. It was a digital awareness project about the unseen damage caused by public shaming, online bullying, and mockery disguised as humor. Olivia had put Lena in charge of gathering stories from real people who had been humiliated online and learned to rebuild their lives. At first, Lena struggled. Many refused to talk to her once they realized who she was. But she didn't give up. She sent handwritten letters instead of emails. She listened, took notes, and never tried to defend her past. Slowly, people began responding. One woman wrote, "I was mocked for my accent online. I stopped speaking for 2 years. Thank you for making space for my story." Another message read, "I lost my job because of a viral video. I'm still recovering, but I'm proud of who I'm becoming." Each story humbled Lena more. She worked late nights, sometimes alone in the quiet office, rereading each message. Every line was a mirror, not of her past mistakes, but of her new responsibility. One evening, Olivia passed by her desk. She noticed the pile of letters in the dim light. "You're still here?" she asked. Lena smiled faintly. "I didn't want to leave this unfinished," Olivia nodded. "Perfection doesn't live in exhaustion. Go home, Lena. Rest. You'll work better tomorrow." Lena hesitated. "Do you ever stop thinking about everything that happened?" Olivia sat beside her. "No, but I don't let it control me. The past is a teacher, not a jailer." Lena exhaled. "I wish I could forgive myself that easily." "You're not supposed to," Olivia said. "Forgiveness isn't easy. It's earned one small act at a time." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Olivia said quietly, "You're doing good work. You should know that." It was the first time she'd said it, and it meant more than 1,000 online likes. 2 weeks later, the campaign went live. A simple video opened with a quote, "Every time you humiliate someone, you give the world permission to humiliate you." Then the stories followed. Voices, faces, pain, and recovery. Real people, not actors. At the end, a short caption appeared, "Concept by Olivia Ramirez. Developed by Lena Harris." The video hit 1 million views in 24 hours, but this time, there were no filters, no viral dances, no music drops. Just truth, the comment section filled with quiet reflection. "Needed this. Reminded me to think before posting. I've been both the bully and the bullied. Thank you." Lena watched the views climb from her desk, her hands trembling slightly. She didn't smile out of pride. She smiled out of relief. That weekend, Olivia invited Lena to a small team dinner. Not a corporate event, just a handful of people sitting at a long wooden table in a quiet restaurant. Lena arrived early. She was nervous, unsure if she truly belonged there. When Olivia arrived, she handed her a small box. "For you," she said. Lena opened it. Inside was a simple metal pen with her initials engraved. Olivia smiled. "You used your words to hurt before. Now you're learning to use them to help." "Keep doing that," Lena swallowed hard. "Thank you. For everything." "You didn't have to forgive me," Olivia shook her head. "Forgiveness isn't charity. It's wisdom. If I stayed angry, I'd still be your prisoner." They both laughed softly, and for the first time, it felt like friendship. Later that night, as Lena walked home, she passed a cafe window showing a trending newsreel. The headline caught her eye. "From Scandal to Social Impact, How a Viral Mistake Became a Movement." The reporter's voice played faintly. 3 months after a viral post humiliated her former housekeeper, influencer Lena Harris helped launch a digital empathy campaign that has now reached 12 million views. Both women declined sponsorships, choosing instead to fund awareness programs in local schools. Lena stopped and watched the screen quietly. The story had come full circle, not in revenge, in redemption. A week later, Olivia visited a local high school to speak about her journey. Lena came along to film the session. The students sat silently as Olivia spoke. Her voice was calm and steady. "I worked for people who thought respect came from money," she said. "They were wrong. Respect comes from how you treat people when no one's looking." One student raised his hand. "Weren't you angry when they treated you badly?" Olivia smiled. "Of course. But anger doesn't build anything. It only burns. I wanted to build something better, a lesson." Another student asked, "Do you forgive them?" Olivia turned to where Lena stood by the camera. Their eyes met. "I did," Olivia said, "because I saw her try." Lena lowered her eyes, her throat tight. After the event, as they walked to the car, Lena said quietly, "I think I finally understand what you meant about peace." Olivia glanced at her. "And what's that?" "That it's not about winning. It's about not needing to." Olivia nodded. "Exactly." They stood there for a moment, the school behind them and the quiet street ahead. "Olivia?" Lena said. "Yes?" "Thank you for not giving up on me." Olivia smiled softly. "Everyone deserves a second chance. Most people just never take it." Lena looked up at the evening sky, the last light fading. For the first time, she didn't feel like the girl who mocked someone to feel superior. She felt like someone becoming whole. Months later, a new article appeared online. It wasn't viral. It wasn't flashy. But it mattered. Title: 2 women. 1 lesson. How respect rebuilt what pride destroyed. A small photo showed them standing side by side. No makeup, no luxury, just quiet strength. The last line read, "The real wealth isn't what you own. It's who you become when no one's watching." And that was the story of Olivia Ramirez and Lena Harris. One lost her peace and found it again through truth. The other lost her pride and found herself through humility. Both walked away not richer in money but richer in meaning. Because sometimes life doesn't give you revenge. It gives you reflection, and reflection lasts longer.